Robert, I have a classic MoonWatch here,
The best.
new in the stickers. I mean, it's obviously a watch that a lot of people love.
Yes.
You and I love it. You own one right now.
I own one.
I've owned a few in the past. I don't currently have a Speedy.
Yep.
But I wanted to ramble a little bit about the diminishing value of the Speedmaster, because we've been in the game long enough. We have both, maybe I'm speaking out of place, but I remember buying a Speedmaster used about $3,000. And now they retail for about $8,000 if you want a Sapphire Sandwich, which within the course of less than 10 years, that's a lot of appreciation, right? At least when it comes to the retail price.
Totally. So I'm right there with you. I bought and sold half a dozen of them under that, or right around that 3K.
Oh, sorry. Do you remember the 1010?
Yes.
You remember how those could be found all day long for like a little under $3?
Yes.
And now they're like 13,000 or more.
Yes. Yes. All the crazy different versions that. So speaking of, there was a what is it? The Mission to Mars or whatever. Where it's got the Earth, the 3 different colored subdials. I remember that was an absolute dog that nobody wanted.
That one.
Nobody wanted that. Now that's like 7, 8, 9K right there all day long, and it's just a basic 35, 70, 50 with this dial.
Oh yeah,
and
that's it.
And when that thing came out, it was an absolute dog. Nobody wanted that.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder, all right, is the continued success more a testament to innovation, like we're doing Metis movements now and quick release or quick extension clasps, or is it like this is the greatest sport watch of all time because of its history being taken to the moon and used by multiple astronauts in various missions? Is it all about its history that's continued its popularity despite the dramatic increase in retail price over a decade?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it is a convergence of all of what you just described, because you have to expect some sort of an increase. I mean, when we think about the clasp, how silly that is, it's cost money.
It sure does.
Any other brand is going to do the same thing. They're going to pass those, costs onto the consumers. The movement is a big deal. They did not mess with the movement for 50 years. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, they really had to bench test the heck out of it.
Yep.
With all the modifications that they've done. They had to make sure they weren't ruining the Lamania base.
Yep.
In there.
It's no
big
small
launch, right?
feat
Yeah.
to just completely change somebody's entire, escapement. It's not just like swapping out a couple screws.
No, it's not.
So let's not, discount that. They have reworked the case and the bracelet as a whole.
And one could argue that the newest ones are less refined than the older ones.
Yes.
With like how abrupt the edges are.
Yes.
So
I mean, there's a lot of that, but then you think about just the natural cost of everything going up, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. If we could be having this argument over a Seiko, the fact that, think about what we used to do.
Which Seiko has raised a lot over the past 10 years too.
You think
right?
about an SKX back when we were buying Speedys for $2,500. We were buying the SKX 200 meter ISO certified divers for $150 without even trying.
Oh yeah.
Now we're
the good old days.
Now we're okay with a non-screw down crown, Seiko 5, whatever you want to call it, for double the price.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is kind of the same, but yet different. So you've got the natural progression of costs, you've got the added tech, and then I honestly think that COVID and everything else just had so many more people become aware of what was out there and become aware of the Speedmaster and go, ooh, I want one of those. All these videos on the internet tell me that any person that likes watches has to try a Speedmaster.
And most watch collectors do at some point, right?
Yeah.
They want to at least. They want to post that Speedy on Tuesday on Instagram and put the hashtag out there.
And then you add in, the gateway drug that sometimes we like to talk about, the MoonSwatch.
Oh,
right?
that's huge.
Because think
Yeah.
about it, all these people that maybe were like, I don't know, I'm in Vegas at the Swatch store, I'm gonna buy this plastic thing as everybody's talking about, I don't really know. And then they like it and they're like, hey, that actually wears all right, or that looks
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
cool. And then they start going down the rabbit hole.
And Speedy sales went up because of that.
Shot up.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to check the numbers with like an AD or something, but I had heard some crazy numbers of like 50% increase.
I've talked to 2 different ADs that said we were selling way more than before because of the interest of the MoonSwatch.
Exactly. People are like, what is this hype about this plastic watch? What is this coming from? Oh, there's another watch that's like this? Well, what's that about?
Well, there's also something else. I know we've talked about this before, Rob, but you look at other chronographs around $8,000 and the Speedy doesn't look like it's ripping you off, right? It might have gone up in price,
Yep.
but you're still getting a heck of a movement, the details, the history, the vintage vibe of the bracelet. Like it's a really solid product when you compare it to like an $8,000 Monaco with a Solita movement and a Dewa de Pra module stuck on the back, right?
Yep.
Or Breitling charging 2,000 more for no bracelet on an Avid timer and a pretty comparable movement, right?
Exactly. I can make the case that even though the value proposition isn't as extreme as it once was, it used to be obscene.
It used to
absolutely straight up obscene.
Maybe that's the problem is it was undervalued before.
Yes, it was very undervalued. People just took it for granted, and then it started to gain kind of the notoriety or whatever. I say notoriety, it's been around since 57.
Sure.
It's not a new watch, but it started to like really like take hold, and now it's a decent value. It's not obscene where people are like, holy crap, how does this watch only cost $3,000 or $4,000 or whatever?
I wouldn't say it's class leading in value, but
No.
it doesn't need to be. It's an
No.
icon.
Yes.
It just has to present enough value to where the consumer's happy.
Exactly. And you can go through and you can say, well, Tudor offers a in-house movement and a chronograph at half the price.
And those are high 3s, low 4s, right?
Exactly. And then I can say to you, well, yeah, but it wears like a cinder block on your wrist, you know? And so like the Speedmaster is an icon for a reason. And it remains mostly unchanged for 50 years for a reason.
For a reason.
Right? There is a lot going on there. And yes, it's not the insane proposition that it was, the value proposition that it once was, but it's still decent. And decent is plenty good.
Plenty good.
Right?
And I wonder if, because watch addicts, watch enthusiasts like you and me, sometimes we can get carried away where we look for perfection. We want the ultimate value. And if we were in the game, you know, back 10 years ago and we could buy Speedies used for $3,000, maybe we're the unrealistic ones to a degree, right? I still want value.
Yeah.
I
wrestle with that all the time. I wrestle with that constantly because I will see a watch and I'll go, are you kidding me? Like, this is what they want for that? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
That movement is $200 max. Yeah. And where's all the other money coming from, you know?
At the same time, though, the target consumer for whatever watch you were just thinking of, they would not know, hey, you can source that part on eBay for $150 or whatever.
Right.
So we're not, even though we're the most enthusiastic, we might not be the target demographic in some instances with some watch products, right? We're the outlier.
Yes. And even though you and I maybe aren't super jazzed about an $8,100 white dial Speedmaster price tag.
We're jazzed about the watch, though.
We are insanely jazzed about the watch, and I could sit there on the train, on wherever at work. I could talk to literally anybody for a half an hour about the Speedmaster and still recommend it at that price.
Have you seen the two-tone Speedy yet in person?
I have not seen it in person. It's
so pretty in person. I think you would love it.
You
wouldn't love the price tag, but you'd love the watch.
The price tag is often the case of being, a bit of a roadblock.
Yeah.
But I somehow find a way to go over that roadblock and still get there eventually.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, at 8,100, at 7,500, whatever it is, whatever version you're looking at, it's still an amazing watch. It's there for a reason.
It's a classic.
Exactly.
And it will always be a classic 100 years from now.
What I would recommend is, if you're not like 100% on the speedy train like us, look for a lightly used example. Give it a test drive, because you can find them in the 5s.
Oh yeah.
All day long. Have somebody eat that depreciation. And then if it really is something that sticks with you, either keep the one you got at a decent deal, or flip it and go buy yourself a brand new one and then make it 100% yours, if that's your thing.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. And other people will also try the MoonSwatch.
Yeah.
Go find a Mission to the Moon, I think, which is the gray.
Yep. Or
Kinda
the
looks
Mercury, or there's the black one.
Oh yeah, the blackout one is beautiful.
But
for what it is, right?
Exactly. So go in, Swatch store or on eBay, now that those prices have kind of come down to reality a little bit. You might still pay a small premium, but you're not paying, $1,000 for this couple $100 watch. So give yourself a little bit of a test run with that, because it wears exactly the same. I've got 3 or 4 MoonSwatches at the house, and I'm telling you, they're the exact same watch.
Yeah. Let me end with one question for you. Do you love the Speedmaster because of its versatility and timelessness, or is it more about the NASA history for you?
It's the versatility.
Really?
It really is.
It's opposite for me. If it wasn't used by NASA in space, I'd still like it, but I wouldn't like it as much.
No, see, that is a definite factor for me, and it definitely weighs, because think about it. When I take that off, I show people the case back. I show people the case back that it says flight qualified by NASA, all that
for
stuff.
all manned missions. Right?
Exactly. Like, I will show them that. So I can't say that it doesn't play a factor, but I can
It's not the leading factor.
No, I can tell you right now that watch at 42 millimeters, as it's listed, will wear amazing on a person that has a 6 1/4 inch wrist, to an 8 inch wrist. There are very few watches at 42, listed 42, that will wear like that
for almost anyone.
I've seen, again, the smallest of wrist, the largest of wrist, the flattest, the more round, you name your shape, it doesn't matter. The Speedmaster works. You throw it on any strap, you put it on a NATO, leather, rubber, bracelet.
Yeah.
There's not a single strap that it doesn't look good on.
That's true.
It really is the perfect all-around watch.
Everything watch.
There are some people that will say you can swim with it. I wouldn't. We've seen people swim with it. Just don't operate the pushers in the pool. Again, that's the one thing, I guess the one knock on it that I have is the water resistance.
Right.
But if that's all I've got, that's not that much.
Well, speaking as a classic watch guy, if you're going to get in the water, put on a Seiko, put on a G-Shock, put on a dive watch.
Yes.
You don't need to do it with your Speedy, right?
No.
That's your chronograph.
Yes.
You don't mix those two.
Well, and Omega, they test their meters. Oh, actually,
they do.
It's not like a suggested or like a,
we
think it's like it's going to do 50. No, if it's listed at 50.
They tested at a higher depth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Speedy, the inadvertent, like you get drunk at a wedding or something and fall into the pool, you're going to be okay.
Right.
That Patek or something else, maybe not so
much.
No,
right?
Not. So again, it's going to be enough for just about anything that you throw at it. You don't need to shower with a watch. You don't need to go into the hot tub with a watch. So the Speedy can handle pretty much anything you throw at it.
I agree. So we moan and groan about the value, but we still freaking love the watch and would recommend it.
Without even trying. I would shout it from the rooftops. The Speedmaster is amazing.
Agreed.